adversity, bring it. The struggle, we welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. We are Dave Regina and Mike Pirelli, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on.
Welcome back to episode 9 of the No Snooze Podcast. I am your good-looking host, Mike Pirelli, with my co-host, less good-looking, Dave Regina.
Yes, Epi 9. I still can't believe we made it this far, man.
Yeah, it blows my mind. We say it every week.
Yeah, every week, but it's something that's crazy to see because you just see these views climbing. So our first big milestone was 2,000, and now we said at 10,000 we will go out to a nice little steak dinner, right?
Yep. Dave will shave his beard.
That's on you, or
what?
Is that on you?
No, that's on Claudio.
All right, good. So let's get into a PodBod update. So I want to get back to you, Mike, because you went away. You told us you kind of fell off. Update us on how you're looking, because you're looking pretty tight to me. I think that suit is kind of fly.
I appreciate it. I added somewhere around like 6 pounds when I was in Florida.
Ooh.
And then on Sunday, the weekend where I got back, I had 4 Dr. Peppers. I swear to God. I worked all day. I didn't eat. I stopped. I got a slice of Sicilian, and then I got a regular slice. And then for like at 3, then at 6, I got about $30 worth of Chinese. It's for myself, 20 for Dana. And I ate all of it and 4 Dr. Peppers.
$30 worth of Chinese. So
think how much food that is.
Dana spent 20, you just said?
Well, we paid
10?
Together, but her portion was a lot less.
Okay.
Yeah. But it cleared that and had 4 Dr. Peppers. So all that being said, Monday I weighed in and didn't like what I saw. And then just today I passed what I was previously and I'm back at 212. So.
I think there was an important lesson though. You had gone away, you came back, and instead of jumping on the scale right away, you were smart enough to say, you know what? I'm going to weigh in next week because you already knew the damage that was done. But that was a good takeaway there. For me, I had a big week, Mike.
Did you? You look like
I took a Soul Cycle class. My Soul Cycle game was not the best.
You didn't take it. You taught a Soul Cycle class.
No. I took the Soul Cycle class. Did really well. I hit the beat 92% of the time on the app. Yeah, but my stats were great. I got like 14 miles in. My wife was impressed. Janine was impressed. Everybody was happy. Then I come back to my own gym at Level Fitness, and I was asked to ride the podium with Adolfo.
Ride the podium.
And it's basically you take the lead, but it really turns into like a dance class and a cardio class, but it was pretty hilarious. It was a great experience. But if you haven't tried that class, go try it out. Mike Press was the Soul Cycle instructor, and he's local here in Westchester, New York City. Runs a really dope class, motivational, but the workout is just phenomenal. So that's I'm proud of that, man.
At what point are you going to start wearing yoga pants to class?
No, I can't. That I can't do, and I can't do the pad on my cheeks.
You might need it if you take it that much.
Can't do it. All right, so that's the PodBod update. We're still working every day, just trying to get better than yesterday. We're ecstatic today because we have a phenomenal guest here with us, and we're very thankful. And we want to welcome Bradley Featherstone Desir, a Marine combat veteran, Bellator MMA veteran, and multiple-time MMA champion. His story is real, it's raw, and Brad has agreed to hold nothing back here today. So we're excited to hear the story, but more importantly, believe that there will be tremendous value for those who tune in. So welcome to the pod, Brad.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and I tried to attack him when he walked in because I wanted to test out his MMA skills, but we'll let that. We'll separate YouTube video.
As soon as Brad walked in, Mike's in the southpaw position. How did you
was
feel
that
about
southpaw?
Yeah,
I didn't know that was
southpaw.
southpaw.
If you're right footed, I mean, it was. I mean, I was a little worried.
Shaky.
See, I'm a big guy, but I have no coordination when it comes to the punching. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Not to say that you can't be both, but for me, I've always been the finesse. So I think that's why I gravitate to watch MMA because I imagine myself in there and throwing a left and
You'd find your groove. It's more natural. It's more natural than you think.
Might have to start training.
Hey, come on down.
We're going to add a section at the end for the YouTubers. It's called a gut check, where Mike is going to take a punch from from Featherstone. We're gonna see if he can breathe after.
Can you imagine if that was how we end? Like every guest gets to punch me.
Some people do that.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild.
Have you punched anyone on a show?
No, I try not to hit people. You know, I try
unless you have to. Unless you have to.
Is that true? Where they say if you punch someone out of the ring, it's like a lethal weapon?
No, I mean if I punch you, it's gonna hurt a lot more than somebody else.
Yeah,
right? That's just.
But what about having registered hands?
So I knew that's where I was going. So what happens is when you fight professional, you have a license, just like anything else. So the old rumor came from a boxing coach would ask you, hey, are your hands registered? What he really means is, do you have a license to fight in New York or have a license to fight in New Jersey? It's not like my left hand is 001 and my right hand is 002. Excuse me. I legit have a license. That's it.
Got it. So you can't get in trouble if you punch them. Oh, you get in trouble.
Morally, I shouldn't. Right?
I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, do I get a license?
No, morally, I shouldn't. But like, I look at it like, it's weird, man, because when you get really good at violence, you know what it brings, and then you're hesitant to use it. It's like, damn, like you don't know how to fight, because if you knew how to fight, you wouldn't be starting this fight. Like if one of us could walk away permanently changed, like do you really want that? Would you play with that? The answer is no. Like, what do you want? You want the seat on the train? Yeah. You want to cut me off to get on the exit? Sure, go ahead. Yeah. It's made me more non-confrontational,
and you're more humble when you have those skills. It's very
absolutely, because you know what? There's some days, man. Any day, like law of the jungle, any day can be your last. You can walk on the mat. And I'm feeling like Big Poppy, right? Like nobody can touch me. And then somebody can come in 2 weight classes bigger than me and just throw me around like a little girl. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. You know what I'm saying? Like he might be able to throw me around, and then I'll throw somebody else around, and then that person threw him around. It's a human game of rocks, paper, scissors. Yeah. So you're always humble. You're confident, but you're humble.
I love that. So we usually start the episode on a light note, and we do this thing that's called No Snooze Recommendations. So we want Brad to jump in, but my recommendation this week is going to be the protein that I've been using, and it is Orgain protein. And again, this is not an ad. This is this is the protein that I'm using. But a lot of people have been asking, yo, what supplements do you use? Yeah, I don't think they asked Mike that question, but we'll get there.
How much Orgain do you have at each?
I do two. I have 2 tubs, but it's a not only organic, but it's plant based. And I don't know about anybody else, but when I used to mix my protein shakes, I used to get some stomach issues there. So it's a really clean protein. It's great for males and females. Low in calories. Doesn't have too much protein in it, but when you mix it with silk almond milk plus the 10 grams of protein there on the cashew milk, you get that extra 10. And
how many
throw
scoops,
some peanut
though?
butter.
How many scoops?
Just 2 scoops.
Oh, okay. You look like, I thought you'd do like a 4 scoop, right? I'm like, he's not just having the same scoops I am.
So that's me, Mike. No Snooze recommendation, baby.
Yeah. So in the challenge to lose the weight, I've been getting more obsessed with trying to figure out ingredients and looking at the back of the labels. And I stumbled on this guy. Welcome, Flav City family. This guy, Flav City, and he's very quirky. But he goes to department stores, checks out all the food, and gives his recommendations based on how clean the food is. So I've been obsessed with that and been watching a lot of it and learning a lot. So nice. I would recommend him. And it's under Flav FLAV and then City.
It's hard to spell when you're not looking at it, right?
Yeah,
I saw it. Good. Brad, so hit us with a recommendation, and this could be anything you really want to jump in on, but something that you apply in your life.
So I've been really working with this guy, Dr. Frank Benedetto. He's got this company called Counter-Strike Combat Sports. It's about fitness for the combat athlete. Like that's his niche. And it's just taken my training to a whole nother level. Like just the complete accountability. It's heart rate based. I do less now, feeling like I do much more, which is amazing, right? It just frees up hours in my day, keeps me on the mat, and I just can't push this enough. I tell everybody, especially if you're into any kind of combat sport or you're getting a little older and you don't have a coach anymore, this is the way to go. Like people always asking me for workouts and what I'm doing, and all I do is I just funnel them to him. So guys, check them out. They're Counter-Strike_Combat Sports on Instagram or www.stayonthemat.com.
Nice.
Beautiful. And to that same point, I think it was the McGregor and Tony Robbins interview where he referenced, right? We listened to that together, where he referenced, I was looking at LeBron James and he was spending like $1.5 million on himself per year. And McGregor was spending $0 on himself. So this
All
is
of us.
Right. So
Yeah,
this
James
is
Harrison was the first.
this is a really good investment, for yourself. So, check that out. So, all right, this interview is going to go, all over the place. Very excited about it. But I have to ask, Bradley Featherstone Desir, where did Featherstone come from?
And let me preface this by saying I Googled Featherstone for at least 20 minutes and I saw like old English proverb and I was trying to figure it out. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, so I don't you guys are not gonna believe this, but I've never seen Little Giants. Right?
Okay.
So I think
Even I've seen that movie, Brad. I'm not even
He's not a movie guy, so
yeah, so I didn't see it.
it's a great movie.
But I think there's a character Featherstone in there, right? And what I could be wrong. It could be another one of those little Pee-wee football leagues.
Okay.
But when I was playing Pee-wee football, I could run really well. I did everything. It looked effortless, and I was catching the ball. But one practice, I just dropped everything, and they're like, "Oh, you got hands of stone, but you move like a feather, like Featherstone."
Oh, really?
And it just kind of stuck. And then it just transitioned well when I started fighting because I could move really well, and when I hit you. So I just kept the nickname Featherstone, and that's
I like that.
that's how it stuck.
That was good.
What was your nickname growing up, Mike?
Ooh, I'm trying to think.
Toots?
The ice box. If we're staying on Little Giants, no.
Is that a woman?
Yeah, but she's good. She's a good linebacker.
You
Gender
kind of
neutral,
remind me of
whatever.
the guy from The Sandlot. I forget.
Squints?
No, not Squints.
Yeah.
He's the catcher.
Oh,
That's my man. With the big chew, big league chew. Yeah.
So-
What's his name?
That's my guy.
So that's actually really good because I used to try to compete with Frank and his friends, and at that time I wasn't as big as them. I was close, but I would have to get in their head to be able to compete because they were better, and I just would talk the whole time. So I was like him.
That's hilarious. man.
The big ham. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I love when there's a good story behind, a nickname like that. Not that anybody else's nickname is not as good as that, but that context to that story,
I was way
makes
off.
a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right.
I was trying to think about it. I couldn't, even picture it.
I was going by Big Daddy D for a little bit, but I was like, I got
Big
Big
Daddy.
Daddy D?
Yeah, when I was in the Marines, like,
I think,
I'm Big
that's
Daddy
a pretty
D, baby.
You should do
My name's
Featherstone,
Dave.
aka Big Daddy D.
My name's Dave. I might take that from you.
Big
I'm going to
Daddy
change the
D.
Instagram account.
Slim Daddy D, because you're leaning out.
That's good stuff. Brad, so
What's
can
up,
you
man?
talk to us about, just your childhood, family dynamic, and the younger years of Bradley Desir?
Yeah, man. So I'm one of 6. Growing up, I was one of 5. A bunch of cousins in the house. Grew up in a loaded house. We were full. I don't know, man. It was just everybody in my house was an extrovert. Everybody in my house, majority of the people in my house have type A personalities. So I learned how to negotiate and navigate strong-minded people early, right? And I feel like that's helped me a lot in life. Like knowing that I'm just I can't stand somebody, but have to be able to find a middle ground with them. My mom I had the community mom. Like if she saw you, she'd pick you up. If you didn't have food, she'd give you lunch. Nice. I truly believe that my confidence as a person comes from my mother's love. Like I was so overwhelmed with love that I never felt jealous. I never felt insecure, to the point now still that it doesn't matter how bright somebody else's light shines. I feel secure with myself.
Wow. So the last episode we actually did were the lessons that we want to teach our daughters. We're both going to be new fathers. And the first thing that I had said, if you remember, was instilling confidence and positive self-worth. So you just said that happened to you at a very young age.
Absolutely.
And look at the confidence that you wear every day. And it's not in a bad way. Being confident is very different than being cocky. Jadakiss, what's the Jadakiss little dime there? The Jadakiss dime there. And it's not cocky, it's confident. Right.
But what I've really noticed is that no one that's confident has ever called me cocky.
Right.
It's only insecure people.
Yes.
That's good.
It's a great point.
Did your mom do anything specific that built that confidence? Was it did she tell you things, or was it just how?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination, right? Like she didn't just tell me things. Like she really sold it to me. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean?
Yeah.
Like she really sold that she loved me. She really sold that I was handsome. She really sold that I was special.
You are a
I
stud.
like it.
And
You are
it's
handsome,
like,
yeah.
but then I had my dad there too. So it's like like, Mom, you tell me I'm so special, but I'm 1 of 5. Like, I ain't that special. You know what I mean? Like, I understand if they all came before me, but after me, if I was so special, you would have stopped.
Where are you in that lineup?
Yeah,
I'm in the middle.
You're in the
I'm
middle.
third,
Okay.
but
That's a tough one too.
But no, not really, right? So my next sibling up, my older brother, he's 17 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up as the eldest.
Nice.
Right? And I'm treated as the eldest. So it's a little weird. Like, my older brother sometimes will try to big brother me, and I don't take it. Right? So
Not having that.
yeah, I'm not having it. No.
That's kinda like
what's
what I
the
do to
height
Mike.
and weight of the older brother? Talk to
My
me.
other brother's, he's big and tall, but he's soft. Right? So yeah, he was he was an
Me
all-state.
too. Me
Yeah.
too. Me too. But
was
not
an
big and tall.
Yeah, he was an all-state basketball player for Mount Vernon.
Oh, nice.
He's about 6'2". He's got to be like 240,
Okay.
maybe 250, but he's like 51 years old. You know? So I remember I got into a little argument with him a couple years ago, and he was calling Mom because I wanted to punch him in the face. You know? I'm like, I'm like, my man, you're 47 years old. What are you doing calling Mom? Like,
Yeah. And you have all the submissions now too, so you could probably
I'll never hit my brothers, but that was as close as I was getting.
Oh,
That
my.
door wasn't between us, you know. My mom's calling me, leave him alone.
That's awesome, man. So you then transitioned, I guess, was it out of high school, but then you decided that you wanted to get into service, and you enlisted in the Marines. And what I just want to first say is thank you. And not only thank you to you, but thank you to all the service men and women out there, because, you know, you're going to hear Brad's story, and there's a lot of people out there that go through this, that go through less, that go through more. So, you know, truly, we want to say thank you for your service, but definitely, you know, jump in and I guess tell us how that whole journey and decision was made to enlist.
Oh, thank you for your support. So to be honest, man, like it started, and I was young. Like, I used to play. I used to have a book bag, a water gun, and a tennis ball. The tennis ball would be my grenade, right? And I would just run around the house shooting my sisters and throwing grenades, shooting the dog, and you know, one day I took it a little too far. I told my younger sister, "Put your hands up." I must have been like, I don't know, like 11. She was like, "No." She's like, I'm like, "Surrender." She's like, "Oh, fine, I surrender." I'm like, "I don't take prisoners." And I gun butted her with the water gun.
My
in the
God.
eye, gave
This
her a
wasn't
scar.
Hillary, was it?
That was Hillary. the youngest one. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, and I got a good beating for that, and that was kind of it for a while. So I didn't really know about the Marines. I just knew Army, right? So I'm first generation American. My dad came from Haiti. My mom came from Puerto Rico. You know, my dad moved to Brooklyn. My mom moved to the Bronx. They were taking a summer class. You know, black man sees Puerto Rican woman. She calls him Poppy, rice and beans. Boom. 5 kids.
The rest is history.
You know what I'm saying? But I was watching, what was it I saw first? Saving Private Ryan. And they all look so like sad to be there. You know what I mean? And then a couple years later or a year later, Wind Talkers came out. And Wind Talkers was about Marines. And like, they were just killing everybody, kicking in doors. Don't shoot, let them burn. And they're cornered off. They're about to die. And this guy, he's breathing in a plastic bag, and you know he's hyperventilating. And it's like, what's wrong with him? And he's like, I can't breathe when I'm excited. You know what I mean?
My God.
And like that's the mentality. Like that was the mentality difference. And I was like, F the Army. Sorry guys. I was like,
That's all right.
F the Army. That's me. Right? I'm going to the Marines. And that was it. I made my decision. I must have been in 8th grade or 9th grade, and I just knew that was it. You know, and there was nothing else. Nothing else mattered. Like my life from that day began preparation for the Marines.
And did you start training and, you know, trying to put together your own workouts to get ready for the Marines, or did you?
Yeah, I mean, I played football in high school, so I was always lifting weights. I was always doing push-ups, and like I said, like everybody in my house is a Type A personality. So by the time I was 9, I was like, "Oh, Dad, wait till you're making me go to bed early. I can't wait till I'm big and tall. I'm gonna beat you up." I'm still not bigger and taller than my dad, right? So like the push-ups started at 9 or 10, and the sit-ups, and then it's just a lifestyle. Like I can't look back and remember not working out.
How many push-ups can you do in a clip?
I don't know. At this point,
Give or
like,
take. Give or take.
More than you.
I know that.
Good answer.
No, but
Curious.
that's always my answer. Like, who am I doing push-ups with?
Do you think
one more than you?
More than Dave?
At least one more
we
than
might have
Dave.
to do it at the
We
end.
might have
This is
to.
good. This is good.
I did a lot of push-ups.
I pulled my
I
name
did
out
a
of the
lot
ring.
yesterday.
I'm sorry. Oh, here we go.
Hey, listen, I'm
like it.
always down to compete.
I like it. But it's interesting because you find, I know personally a bunch of males, from high school that did enlist, and they did it because they couldn't really find their passion, their niche. And it's interesting to know that this is something that was basically ingrained from an early age, so I love that. Now, not to get into, because we don't do the politics, we don't do the religious thing here, but I want to know, do you have, was there a passion for the country as well, and being able to put yourself, on the front line to basically be able to, risk your life? So
the answer is honestly no, right? Because I am first generation American, I didn't my family didn't have that tie to the country like we do now, right? Like seeing like what our freedoms cost and what we have to pay to get them has brought that patriotism to my family. I would bleed on the flag to keep the stripes red. Wow. But at 18, it wasn't about that, right? Like 17, it wasn't about that. Like I hate when girls be like, "Oh, I'm looking for an adventure," but that's kind of what I was looking for, right? And like I had told myself, I knew I was always going to go to college. It was, if there was a war when I'm coming out of high school, I'm gonna go to the war. If there's no war, I'm gonna go to college, and then we should be in a war, and then I'll go to the war. Like, wow. I tell people all the time, like the difference between my experience in the military and yours was you served in the military. I fought in the military. Yeah. Right. Like I fought with him. I didn't serve with him. Like that's how I explain it to people.
Wow. And where does that like sureness and mindset come from? Be ready to go to war just on the drop of a hat. And
arrogance.
Yeah, oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Nice.
It's arrogance. It's ignorance, really. Okay. Right? Yeah. Like it's the last thing. Like I don't want to send anybody to war. Like you should not send. Like you just don't understand. Like I think I communicate very well, and I still can't fully express everything that happens. Yep. Like I used to tell people when I first came back, my little play on words was, if I have to explain, you wouldn't understand. Right? And then I got a lot of pressure from people that I serve with. They're like, "Yo, Desir, you speak so well. You should be out there telling people what's going on." But it's just like it's hard because it's just I look at people and they look at me like, "No, it can't be that way." Yeah. It just cannot be that way. And I'm like, but it is.
Wow. Brad. So just to fill people in, I want to basically get a little specific. Where exactly did you serve, and what was the what year was this? Was there war going on? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I was in the Al Anbar province, specifically this little patch between Ramadi and Fallujah called Habaniya, right?
And where is this?
It's in Iraq, in the Al Anbar province. I was there in 2006, 2007, and 2008. I was there during the peak of the war. I was there when Saddam was killed. There were no weapons of mass destruction, and it wasn't what I expected. Like I thought I was gonna get there and they'd be waving American flags and they'd be welcoming us with open arms. When I got there, I remember there was this moment I was in somebody's house, right, and I was like, "Oh, I'm the bad guy. I'm here. I'm the bad guy." Like that was the first time in my life when I realized that things were not black and white, that things were gray, right? And I think that's where like I started to grow up.
Well said. Very well
said. And I think you make a good point that what you were saying before, you really can't fathom, even and one, you are very well spoken, I must say.
Thank you.
And you have the ability to tell stories. We see it now, and before when we were sitting down, you have the ability to tell stories, and your passion just kind of speaks through it. And I think that also does play into how you grew up, your mindset. So it all is tying together very, very well. When did the transition happen, or how did your love for MMA kind of come about?
And you served with someone you fought with someone that was in MMA already, right? Did
Brian
I read
Stan?
that? Yeah.
Yeah. So my first day in the fleet, the fleet would be like, okay, so think about, we're all sports fans here, right? So boot camp would be like the NFL draft or whatever in training camp. And then when you get to your team and you know the season starts, that's the fleet, right? So my first day in the fleet, Brian Stan was getting his silver star. So that's how I know him. I was in Kilo Company. He was the weapons company commander. So I didn't serve directly under him. I knew him from, you know, training out in the gym at Wrights Carolina Karate Center after work, what we would call work, after training. So that's how I knew him, and that's kind of how I got like a little foot in the door for MMA.
Nice.
Wow. And were you practicing any moves on any of your siblings at a young age, kind of like you know, Mike and Frank?
Yeah. So I took I tried to take like a kung fu class, because when I thought of fighting, I thought of like Bruce Lee, and they had me walking around in like this horse stance, doing all this what I thought was stupid stuff at the time. And then when I as I got further along in martial arts, I realized that it wasn't stupid, it was just outdated, right? So like I know the camera can see me, but everybody when they're doing like a karate block, they'll always do like hi-ya, hi-ya. A lot of people don't know that comes from, you know, the samurais used to have armor on, and when someone would attack you with a broadsword, that was a proper defense. But people don't attack you with broadswords anymore. But because they took the sparring or the competition out of martial arts to commercialize it, you know, that stuff never got washed out. And that's what MMA did. It just remixed martial arts. That's all it really did. So no, I wasn't really trying on my siblings. When I got to the Marines, like our first kind of like in boot camp, our first training was hand to hand, and I just fell in love with it. Yeah. And see, here's something that I say all the time, and people look at me like I'm crazy. When I was in boot camp and I was in the fleet and infantry school, violence was rewarded. It's always rewarded. The better you are at violence in the Marines, the better your life is, right? So I just kept practicing. I wanted a better life, right? And I'm talking about simple stuff like more sleep, more food. People left you alone. People left your friends alone. If you could beat people up, that's what was respected. Your ability to implement violence. That's it.
Wow.
So I just got really good at implementing violence.
And when you started, was there a facet of the MMA that you wanted to dive into more? Like, did you know, with the striking, or was it?
I loved it all. I loved it all.
I loved it all. Jiu-jitsu, or
you know, like so if this was more of an adult podcast, I'd be able to break it down for you perfectly. But you know, we got some younger listeners. Yeah. So but it's I might have to do it anyway, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, break it down for us. The
way I explain it is, it's like women, right? Like, sure, I have my preference, right? But I never turn either one down. You know what I'm saying? Like, the choke is as good as the armbar. The armbar is as good as the leg lock. The punch is as good as the kick. Whatever works, I'm in love with.
Okay,
that's how I feel. I have no bias towards any technique.
Do you have a opponent that you like? Like, do you like fighting bigger dudes, smaller dudes? Like, do you have a preference on that? Because I'm always curious. Because I know you fought that dude in Muay Thai. I think it was.
Yeah,
right?
He was. Yeah, I didn't have a choice. You know,
and you were punching him. Like,
yeah, I didn't really have a choice. I don't like fighting bigger dudes, right? Because the truth is size only. Size doesn't matter only when only when one person doesn't know how to fight.
Got it.
If both people know how to fight, size matters. If both people don't know how to fight, size matters, right? Obviously, I prefer to fight, you know, somebody who just is not a big puncher or a big kicker, because now it eliminates a lot of threats.
Got it.
Right.
Nice. What's worse though, getting kicked in the face or punched in the face?
Ooh, that's good.
So and why?
Well, I've been kicked. I've been knocked out once by a kick in the head, and you just don't feel it.
Yeah. What's that like? You just wake up and you're like on
it's emasculating.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah,
because I'm sure I've had a concussion. Is it like a concussion in football? You ever have a concussion?
Yeah, but it's
different.
Sure, it's worse. It's concussion.
No,
it's concussion
sure
on a different level, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's like when you can't remember what happened, and then like as the further you get away from it, the more you can remember. But it's like looking through a keyhole.
Whoa!
Like I remember defending a takedown, and then the next thing I remember, I'm in the shower with 2 Coronas, and then the next thing I remember, you know, I'm with so and so, and then I was home.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's like that. Like you just lapses, you just lose.
And
there's just no recollection of time.
And the other side, more positive, when you knock someone out, is that it's pretty savage to ask, but
it feels normal.
Yeah,
it just feels normal.
When you just hit it right in the button, it's just
like sometimes you just watch their eyes go.
And then you kind of know, right?
I'm so soft.
But that's the scary.
Yeah, but you're not.
You're not.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
when you're fighting for your life, you might not be.
Yeah, of course, someone pushed, but like
But it's relative, right? So like like you wouldn't be fighting me,
No,
right?
of course.
But like the feelings that you would feel on your level of competition are the same feelings that I'll feel on my level. Like I'm still scared, I'm still nervous, but the fear is different. People are like, oh, but you've been to war. I'm not scared of dying. It's fear of embarrassment, of humiliation, of being on somebody else's highlight reel.
Yeah.
You know, of you know, it's that kind of fear.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not worried about getting my arm broken or my nose broken. You know, it's like, and then you know your game, right? Like I know that, like I really don't want to get punched in the face, but I know that if you smash my nose, it won't stop me.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
you want to prevent hits especially, you know, you're getting a little older, so you want to make sure that you're managing that. And
yeah, but it's not even that. Like it's just like the mindset. Like just I'm unyielding. You know what I mean? Like if this podcast fails, right? Are you not going to try anything else ever again? No, you'll try. Maybe you'll try another one. Maybe you'll try a YouTube channel. Maybe you'll look back and it's like, well, what did we do wrong? Well, how do we fix that?
Yeah,
it's the same thing, man. Like it just doesn't stop.
All right.
Yep. No, that's a good point. Now, before we, on the outline, we just basically covered different topics, and I want to know from you: do you want to stay on the MMA, or can we go to war stories? Which route do you want to go? Because I know you were in war, in the conversation, and when I say war stories, I don't mean tell us all these specific stories, but you started something on Instagram and you had posted a couple things just in the highlights, and I read a couple of them. You're a phenomenal writer.
Thank you.
And I definitely want to touch on that. So which way do you want to go first?
It doesn't matter. So I know that everybody always wants to talk about that because it's the you don't have that accessibility to people with those experiences. So I understand that, and I'm cool with that, and we can talk about that at length, and I will be as candid as possible.
Wow, that's awesome. You want to say something there, or are you good?
No, I was just gonna say and I apologize for all the questions about MMA, but I'm getting
okay.
more and more into it, and I always want to ask the questions because I enjoy watching it, and I'm learning. And your series of teaching the moves helped me appreciate it more. So that's why I was curious about all that stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm curious as to hear what the next steps are for that.
Right. So we'll jump to the war stories thing and kind of just how it came about, because on Bradley's Instagram, I was just kind of fishing through it, and I read a couple of these stories. How did you make the decision to say, you know what, let me put my feelings onto paper versus going to talk to somebody? When did that happen? Did it happen when you were at war, when you came back, or what?
So while I was, my dad had suggested that I had kept a diary when I was in Iraq the first time, and I tried for a little bit, but like it was just mentally exhausting, like everything you go through, then to come back and try to write it down. And I was like, you know what, I'll never forget this, right? And then I was like, and if I do forget it, I'd be happy, right? But I had gotten recruited to go out to Thailand to live, train, and fight free for a year, and I needed money to get a flight, right? So I started a GoFundMe, and I said, hey, in exchange for this, I will blog, right? And then I started blogging there, and I had met a girl that was from Iraq, and we were talking or whatever, and I was like, hey, where you from? She's like, I'm from Iraq. I'm like, oh, I've been there. And then it was just like mood changed, and just like the conversation that we had, and that was the first time since I had been out in the Marines where I had felt and saw such hate for me in somebody's eyes, and then that's how it started, because I wrote about that experience, and then it just kind of just snowballed, and I just started writing a little bit about Iraq. And I mean, like I write about everything. Like I write about love, lust, success, failure, heartbreak, but the only ones that I really let out were like this little mini series that I did called Growing Up in a War Zone. And because I feel like that's where I really grew up, like I can look at pictures, and in those 6 months there's pictures of me and one of my friends in the beginning, and then it's the same picture of us at the end, and we look 15 years older, right? And I felt like that's where I really grew up, so I called it Growing Up in a War Zone.
Wow.
And did you write prior to writing that series? Like, was that a common practice for you, Diaries, or was that a whole new?
A little bit of both, right? Like I kind of just write like memoir style.
Yeah,
so
because I was gonna say it seems like you've been doing it a long time when I read them. So I was just wondering if that was something you were used to, and then you just adjusted it to the topic?
So I'm not really sure how to answer. I am an oversharer, right? So I write. Oh yeah, that's why we're here,
Yeah.
right? I write the way I speak, which got me in trouble in school. You know,
I like that though.
Yeah, my seventh grade English teacher failed me. And I'm like, Mom, I'm good in English, I promise. And now my mom is like, Papi, I believed you. Now I believe you.
In college, I was in basically ESL English, and I'm like talking fine English, and I'm like, what am I doing in this class? And they're like, your SATs in English were so bad.
Wait, you were in ESL?
Yeah,
ESL English in college.
Wait,
In college.
Yeah.
What college you go to?
UConn, University of
UConn?
Connecticut.
Oh, man.
So I walk in, and it's all athletes, a couple athletes that are in the MLB now, and then everyone else had very thick accents.
Oh,
So I
yeah,
looked at
Big
my other
Papi.
buddy who was also in the class, and I'm like, dude, I think we're in the wrong class.
Yeah, my English would have got worse.
Oh my god!
did.
So is that how real estate came about?
Well, real estate, you just if you get the deals done, it doesn't matter,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
You know, people
That's
don't
good.
grade you on your English. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
That's awesome.
You
So-
you just hit something.
No,
for me.
that's good. So the stories, if there's, one, I would love to sit down with you all day, but if there's like one story that you would feel comfortable sharing with us, and you can kind of reflect on it, I want to hear it.
So the one that got the most traction was I had wrote about a girl that got hit by a rocket, right? And that seemed to got the most traction because at this stage in our life, a lot of us are having kids or have kids, and it's just different because now when you talk about sending people to war, it's gonna be our kids, it's gonna be our little brothers, our little cousins. It's not us anymore. We're too old to fight. So when I shared that, I think that's what hit a lot of people, and we can touch on that if you guys would like.
Yeah, let's get into that. I definitely want to hear that.
So it's now that I've written about it, it's kind of hard to narrate it. But essentially, I was sitting on the floor. I was laying on the floor. We had no beds, right? So I'm laying on the floor. I have my rifle across my chest, just like always. Like your rifle becomes a part of you, to the point where the hardest adjustment I had when I came home was not having my rifle, and not because I felt like I wanted it. It was just so used to having it. You ever go somewhere, it's like, oh, my wallet, my phone.
Constantly.
I that would happen with my rifle. I'm like, where's my rifle? You know what I mean? Like, where's my rifle? Like for months. Wow. That was hard. So I hear a man screaming, right? I hear a man screaming. So I get up, put my weapon on fire, and I'm running to see what's going on. And then I just see this man, and he's holding this daughter. She must be like 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old. Her arms and her legs are flailing, and by this point, you've seen dead people, so you know what a dead body looks like. And she looked dead, like just the lifelessness. And he ran up to our fence, and he was on his knees. He let out a war cry, and when I say war cry, I don't mean like a cry of power, like charging forward, like a cry of desperation, like willing to give his unconditional surrender. We looked at him, and he was begging us to let him in to help his daughter, and no one seemed to care, like myself included. You know what I mean? Like we just looked, and I was like, yo, this is just war. But we let him in. We cleared what was our makeshift kitchen table, and we put this little girl on the table. And I remembered the way that like her head just rolled when we put her on the table, like from one side to the other, like there was just no life in her. And I could remember watching the father's heart just leave his chest with his daughter as he put her on the table. And I asked what happened, and they were like, she was hit with a rocket. And, there's explosions all the time, so like you don't pay attention to it. And that's really hard too, because you'll hear gunshots, you'll hear explosions, you'll hear bombs, and you always forget that people are on the other end of that, right? Like it's not just training anymore. Like people are receiving that. And she was outside playing with her brother, and they fired at us. They missed us. They hit the wall by her house, and she took the most damage. I remember trying to help Doc Jackson find the vein on her. And just no veins. Like she had a little blue vein in her, like by her big toe, that he tried to put an IV in, and but the vein collapsed. You couldn't get an IV in. She just smelled like death, like the burning skin. That's something I'll never forget. Like the hair, the skin, the way it, like you try to touch her and you feel it coming off. It was just so nasty. Just so nasty. And then other Marines were coming in and out to get food. They would look at this little girl dying on the table and pay her no mind. Like, that's the kind of stuff that it does to you. Like, she dies, bro. Like, that's kind of it. And, they come, they get their food. They wouldn't even ask if she was okay, and like, I might be having revisionist history, but like, I probably didn't care as much as I do now too. You know what I'm saying? But we tried to call for a medevac, and they were like, it's a little Iraqi girl. Like, why do you want us in the medevac? You know what I'm saying? It's like, she's not worth American lives. I was in a very dangerous part of Iraq. Thank you. And they just told us no, right? They're like, do what you can, whatever you want to do, just do it there. And that hurt, right? And I don't even think that was the worst part. I think the worst part for me was I gave up on her. You know what I mean? I looked at her. I'm like, oh, this little girl's gonna die, right? So I left her to die on that kitchen table. I went, I got some headphones and tried to play Kings of Comedy, King of Queens. You know what I'm saying?
Great show.
Yeah, I tried to. I can't watch it.
I
can't watch it since I've come home.
Oh, really?
I can't. I just can't.
Yeah, because then it puts you back.
Yeah, I just can't do it.
Yeah. It's not that good of a show. Never mind.
It's all right. It was good at the time. It was good when I needed it to be good. And it was just so hard, like to walk out, hearing her faint screams, like her dying screams. And she was such a pleasant little girl. Like, she was so beautiful. I met her. We were doing a patrol through the city for Hearts and Minds. We had killed a bunch of the men in that little city, that little town or whatever. So we would try to go and give like candy out to the kids and food and presents patrols. And we were going through a school, and I met her, and she looked Hispanic. So she felt like a little cousin. Like, she reminded me of my cousin Janine at the time. And she would hug my leg, and I would swing her when I walked, and she'd call me Chocolate Man. And she was just like an innocent child. Yeah. And then that happened to her, and I left her in that kitchen to die. We all left her except for Doc Jackson. Doc Jackson did not leave. He stayed there all night with her. She didn't die. But in the morning, we were both very different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always say, like, that's the night that I became a man. Like, that's the night that I can make hard, rational decisions. Like, I could perform triage after that. Like, I could look at you and be like, don't waste your time. Like, he's going to die. She's going to die. Just move forward. Keep moving. Right? Like, that was the moment that happened for me. I believe we all went through moments like that, and that happened to be mine. But she was also very different too in the morning. Like, she no longer called me Chocolate Man. She no longer smiled when she saw us. She no longer greeted us. She just took what she needed to survive from us. Like, we became a means to an end. I have a picture, and there's a picture of her in the school. She's all smiling and happy. And then we have a picture when we were coming on a patrol to treat her. And like the look of disdain and hate in her face at such a young age. It's like, damn, like, she's going to grow up to hate us. And that's how this fight just continues in perpetuity. Like, it just never ends. Like if you shoot somebody's father outside of their house, the kid sees that, grows up. He's 17, 18. Now he's ready to fight too. It's like, it's just, you just can't win, man. You just cannot win. Just can't win.
Wow. This story, I mean, and just everybody out there, I'm hearing this the same time, that we're recording this. So I got chills on me, man. And the description of it's an incredible story. But it says a lot about you too, how you can relive that moment and how you could basically tap into your feelings. And now you realize, looking back, that, you weren't able to have the emotions that you have now. But thank you for sharing that story. That is
my pleasure.
Wow.
But we're just so young. We're 19. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm having feelings that I'm experiencing feelings that I've never experienced before. Mm-hmm. And I have nobody to guide me through it. Like, what people don't realize is there's a lot of authority in the military, but there's not a lot of adults, right? Like, at 19 years old, my squad leader is 20.
Wow.
My lieutenant is 23.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. My lieutenant's fresh out of college. He's 23 years old, right? And the most senior man is your staff sergeant, and he's at 25 at best.
I never thought about that. That's a very good point.
A lot of authority, not a lot of adults.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's very like it's abusive.
Now looking back at that piece right there, is there something that you think that we can do as a country to change that? Like, how do you
mind our business? So here's how I feel, right? Like, I don't care what country in the world comes. I live in the Bronx now, right? If some other country comes and tries to come and, regulate the Bronx or police the Bronx, I'm shooting you from my window. I'm shooting you from my car. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of those people that we were fighting in Iraq weren't just all Al-Qaeda. They just didn't want foreigners in their country. And, as an adult now, like, I can understand that, right? And I think it's like, it was very different because it's not like for us, it was business. Like, I remember they wanted us to be so professional. Like, the biggest thing when I was in was be kind, be professional, but have a plan to kill everybody you meet. Right. And I still live that, right? Live by that. And these people, to them, it was like, these are invaders on our soil. Like, this is personal. Like, for us, like, some of us are just there collecting a check. Some of us are trying to get citizenship. Most of us are trying to get to college, right? It's the middle class people in the military. They're kind of few. It's a lot of like lower class, middle working class, lower middle class type people in the military. So it's hard. Everybody's there for a reason. There's very few people there for, God and country, God, country, and core. It becomes about God, country, and core later.
Wow. There's really no words, but again, man, thank you for that story. So let's jump into the MMA career, right? You had a big moment at the world's most famous arena, and you want to tell us about that moment at MSG?
That was dope, man. I mean, if you do any kind of combat sports, Madison Square Garden is the Mecca. It just is, right? Like, I could have fought King Kong that night and he didn't stand a chance. Like this is my house, this is my home, this is my city. There's nobody in the world that you could have put in there at me that night. That was dope. Such a great experience.
First round knockout, right?
Yeah. First round knockout.
What'd you walk out to? What song?
I walked out to Uncle Murder Body Dance.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like that. Shout out Uncle Murder.
Yeah. There you go. And Bobby Shmurda.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
So obviously that's a highlight, and that's something that you look back and you're proud of. But there's got to be those moments, like you were saying, that you don't want to end up on somebody's highlight reel. What is it going into a fight that kind of, I guess, allows you to put yourself in a mind space to where it's like, all right, I can't get knocked out today. I
you just don't think like that, right? So it's funny is that my career low light followed right after my so far career highlight, right? And it's I've knocked out, I think, 13 people, and I've never in competition, like practice doesn't count, right? I've never once thought about being knocked out. Never once. It's never crossed my mind. Right? Like, it's just like, if you and I got into a gunfight, this is where it comes from the Marines, I'm not thinking about dying. I'm thinking about killing you. Right? Like, if you're playing a game, you should be thinking about winning, not losing. That's just the way it is. Right? So, like, you never really think about it, and you're not prepared for it. But it happens, and it's like, when I got knocked out, I was like, I can't believe I got knocked out. And my friend was like, yo, it was only a matter of time. You have 27 professional fights. Like, what did you think? You were never going to get knocked out? And when he put it to me like that, I was like, damn, you're right. Right. But it just doesn't feel like it can happen to you.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you have to have that alpha mindset. Like, whoever you put me in with is going to die. Like, that's how I fight. Like, violence of action. Like, that's just one way. And like, if you're going to lose a fight, that's kind of how you want to lose. Right.
Yeah.
But you don't want it to happen. But
yeah. After that knockout, did it change how you fought in the future?
I haven't fought yet because I had to get my ACL repaired, and then it got infected. So that's been then we'd be coming up to current times.
Nice.
It did change a lot. Like, I did go through a lot of growth, but the embarrassment, like, it still hurts, man. Like, it still hurts, and it's just, like, I look at it and it was like, damn, when I got knocked out, my hand was in the proper position. It went through I was wondering why my fingers hurt. And then when I saw the clip, the kick went right through my fingers and it hit me in the side of the head. And I just, then next thing I remembered, I was in the shower with 2 Coronas.
Not a bad way to wake up.
That's not a
Yeah.
bad way to wake up. I was gonna say, but this also plays into the whole no snooze mindset, and you basically taking the struggles of your life, the adversities, whether it was at war or it was in the ring. You're able to reflect on that now to then continue you in a positive progress, I guess. But so your most recent fight was that knockout?
Yeah.
So how did you're wearing a first round management, and there's been some big news there. You got signed now by this management company. How did that happen after a lost fight?
Really, it's why you have a team, right? Like, so the way way teams work in MMA is, my team's a little different, right? Like, everybody here has been training together for at least, I'm the most junior one to this team because I came after the Marines, and I'll make 10 years with them at the end of the year, right? Wow. So these guys have been growing up like friends. We're like the Sandlot, right? It's really kind of about brand association, right? So I think our big, from the outside, because it's funny, the way we view each other on the inside is different than the way they view us from the outside.
I'm sure.
So from the outside in, I think our fighter with the most upside right now is Shane, right? And this management company, they really wanted a couple of us, right? But when they saw how tight knit we all were, they're like, oh yeah, we can't take one of you and not the other. So Shane, Lyman, and myself flew out to Miami for them. Right,
good place to go get recruited.
Yeah, it was dope. And the thing is, I don't think any of us would have been recruited the way we were recruited if we weren't as strong together.
Smart.
Right? Yeah.
I didn't know they did that. I didn't know they signed whole teams. It makes sense.
Well, they only got half of us, so they
really?
still got to get the other half.
Oh,
So
wow.
they're still working for the other half of the team, and they got a little competition. So I think they're great, and I think that's the way I'm pushing my teammates to go.
Nice.
Wow. But I just want to also say, and not just because I know you, but I think it's a great move on their piece. You're not only the fighter, Bradley Desir, but your story's incredible. The way you present yourself is incredible. So I think you stand for a lot more. And as a management company, they're making a good move on you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, Mike, this is a lighthearted thing, but there's still opportunity for you now.
I was going to say, do they need a real estate agent on
because
the
no,
team?
not there. But when we do get picked up, by somebody really big, that means that you're going to come along with me, man. So
I appreciate it. Man.
There he goes.
I'm the ankle weights.
That's my guy. I'm just kidding.
Listen, as long as I get in there, don't know. It doesn't matter how. Right?
Yo,
I'm all about the end product.
And that's what I tell people all the time. I'm like, damn, everybody's so prideful. And it's like, do you remember when you were a freshman in high school or freshman in college or you're on JV? You didn't care about if you were invited to the varsity house party. If you got in through the back door, you were happy because you were there, right? And that's how I try to look at things. Like, I don't care how I got there. I'm just happy that I'm here.
Well, I don't have a front door at my house, so
Hey, the side, the back,
that's
through
my,
the roof, the window.
That's my MO.
I'm just happy that I'm here, baby.
Yeah.
No, man, but the team aspect, we can only relate to it to what we're going through now with this, passion project, side business that we're running. But you took it now from, being at war to now. It's interesting to see, though, that whole teamwork aspect, because like Mike was saying, I would have never guessed that, management would have came in and saw that dynamic and like, look, we're not breaking that up. So that's really dope to see. What are tell us some future plans, I guess. Obviously you've done the Bellator thing.
Yes.
Where are we going with this?
So I got new management. So, we got a bunch of things in flux. They're looking to have me fight again here in May. So hopefully May I'll be fighting. I don't know where yet. We have a bunch of options. I'm even thinking about doing some bare knuckle boxing. That's just for me. That's just like, that's the Marine in me. That's like the martial artist in me. Like, just like, because it would be uncomfortable. It would be outside my comfort zone. And it would take more mental toughness than physical toughness.
And I hear they're throwing some big money around, right?
Yeah.
See? I know the business.
That doesn't hurt. Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
Wow, that's good. Is there now? How does one make the leap from because we have a buddy. His name is Castriot Gemma, and we grew up with him. He's a great fighter, and he did the Bellator thing for a while too. I'm not sure if you guys connected, but if not, I think I need to put you guys in contact.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm curious, how do you then make the leap from there to obviously what everybody knows as the UFC?
So really, it's like sometimes you don't want to make that leap, right? So what the UFC really sells you is branding and marketing, but like they'll pay you better in other organizations. So like and this is something I learned from my new management crew. They ask us straight up, are you a UFC fighter or are you a prize fighter? And I am a prize fighter. You know what I mean? Like, I will fight you bare knuckle if the prize is right. I will fight you. You know,
that's why we get along, because I think I'd be a prize fighter.
Yeah, I'm a
right?
prize fighter.
I think I would be a prize
fighter. You know what
fighter.
I'm saying? Like, I fought 2 wars for free, bro. Pretty
That's
much.
true.
Like, I'm not fighting for pride anymore.
Yeah,
You got to pay me, right? It's like
Well, that's Jorge Masvidal's whole thing now too, right? He's smart, and he's like,
Yeah,
whatever's the
it's you.
biggest
So,
money,
like,
I'm in.
Yeah,
Which
so
makes sense.
he's on first round too, right?
There you go.
So it's just different. Like for some people, it might be in your better interest to go from the UFC to Bellator because they might pay you more. Bellator might not want you. PFL. Yeah, it depends. But really, what I've noticed is it's less about your skill set and more about your entertainment value and who you're connected with.
Yeah.
If I could give any young fighter a piece of advice, it's get a good management team that you trust and just listen to them. The issues that I've had in my career were generally through mismanagement. I don't like to say poor management because I don't believe it was poor management, but just some mismanagement, just some learning. Like if you're a young aspiring fighter, don't find yourself a young aspiring manager. Find yourself an established manager.
Nice.
Right?
That's
You
really
don't
good
you
advice.
don't want to be the guinea pig. I was the guinea pig.
I got a question too for you. So, do you listen to Brendan Schaub?
I do not. I've heard some of his stuff, but I don't really follow him.
So here's the thing. He talks a lot about the chess of fighting. He talks about
box, paper, scissors, shoot.
Yeah, he's very smart as far as or I think. I mean, I'm not in the business, but how much input do you have on the strategy of it with the management team? Is it like, listen, I want to try to fight this guy, or do they say
that's exactly how it's done? But it's less about what you want to do and more about what your coaches want to do. Because as a fighter, as
that's
an
what
alpha,
they're paid for, right?
Yeah, like I think I can. I think if you put me in a ring with King Kong, I like my chances.
Yeah.
Right?
You got a thing with King Kong. You keep referencing you want to fight him.
Because he's the
I
big
can look
dog.
that up.
He's the big
He's
dog.
the big dog, right? Or Godzilla, whoever.
Oh, God.
But like, if you're my friend, you might be like, yo, my man. You should fight Barney instead.
Yeah. And you should be that way.
Yeah, you're gonna get paid the same to fight Barney.
I'll fight Barney.
Yeah.
I'll definitely mess up Barney.
That's
Michael
what a
fight the
manager is.
Teletubbies too.
Yeah, I'll knock out all 4 of them. Are there 4?
Yeah, but that's
Imagine they hit me up and they're like, all right, let's set this up and I get knocked
You're
out.
gonna
Do
get
it.
recruited by
but
the
that's
Teletubbies.
exactly what an agent or a manager is. They
Yeah.
take the unbiased look. It's like, look, I'm sure you would fight him, but your chances of beating Barney are significantly higher than King Kong.
All right,
So
mess
let's
up
go with
Barney.
Barney.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Take us in the ring. I want to know from a strategy standpoint, when you're coming up with your techniques and your strategy to defend, obviously you study the opposing fighter. What impact does your corner have on you when you're actually in the ring and you get punched in the face?
Good question.
Does it take you off your your
because
strategy?
it's normal, right? So like you get punched in the face every day at practice, and your corner's talking to you every day at practice, right? So my issue isn't that. My issue is that a fight is a very high stress environment, and after you've been to war, there's nothing that reaches that threshold. So sometimes you don't turn all the way on. But my friend that was in my brother that was in the same squad as me, right? Like I'm used to hearing his voice in firefights. So I hear his voice over my coaches. And I hear my sister's voice over my coaches because those are the voices of people that are very important to me that, I'm used to hearing in through hard times and dangerous times. So like my coach would be telling me something like step left. And my boy would be like, would be saying something funny like, oh, that's why his wife is fat. You know what I mean? Or something like, that's why your mama don't love you or something. You know what I mean? And it's like, damn, I can't focus. I got to get him to shut up. So that's the struggle that I have. But I don't know. Like to me, it's just a fight. Like violence has become so normalized, right? From my time in the military. So it's just like, it's just a fight. Like I can have a conversation with you. Like you'll see, sometimes you'll see fighters talking to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always bugs me out. Like especially right after we fight, like that Nate Diaz, I think it was the second fight, Nate Diaz and McGregor fight. It's one of the best fights. It's got to be of like all time. The way that they just
The build up. They sold it to you.
No. But the actual fight itself I think it was a championship fight, but was it 20 or 25 minutes?
It wasn't a championship fight. It was a main event.
It was what? Oh, main event. Okay,
Yeah.
but it was definitely the second time, right? That was when they went the distance.
They went to distance.
But the battle that you saw, and then the level of respect that you have for the fight, and this could be anybody, whether you're a McGregor fan or not. But the level of respect, it brings it back to life that, you know what, we did just go to war, but I respect what you do. I may not like you, and if you step in front of me again, I am going to punch you in the face. But it's just an amazing thing to see in the ring when you finish a fight, the amount of respect that fighters have for each other.
Yeah, but that comes from, that's just professional courtesy, really, right? So it's like, if you do anything at a high level, you know how difficult it is. So you respect somebody else that's doing it on your same level, whether they're the competition or not, right? And that's it. It's like, my man, I hit you 200 and something times, and you're still here and you're still ready for more. Like, I can respect you, right? We just made some good money together. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you hate each other.
Good embrace, because we did it, and bank accounts would be a little bigger.
Sometimes the hate is real, but most times it's professional. Like I don't like you don't have to love somebody you sleep with. You don't have to hate somebody you fight. It's just kind of, it's
the job.
It is
comes
what it
with
is.
The territory. Yeah. That's good, man. So do you mind tapping into the whole, because there were questions that came in, and we'll get into the little questy piece. But I'm interested to know, and I know Mike is, because we were talking about this before, the PTSD piece, whether it's personal to you or what you've seen, in your circle. I know that you actually just lost somebody, I believe, this week.
Yeah.
Right?
Sleepy.
Sorry for your loss.
And definitely sorry for your loss,
man.
But the way that you basically reference it, and you're like, you know what, this is the good memory I have of him, and you know what, this is life, and I have to bounce back. Do you think that you're more normalized to this because of combat? And then what is it that you see amongst your circle who you served with in terms of PTSD?
So it is normalized because, and it starts as a joke, right? And I'll give you guys some more inside information in a second. But from day one, whenever you're doing some kind of combat ops or training, somebody's always hit, somebody's always dead, and they're always like removed, right? So it happens all the time. So when it happens for real, it just, you don't even bat an eye. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, he's hit. Like, we'll be here talking around, and the senior lance corporal sergeant stuff, he'll be like, he's dead. All right, calling evac. And it's like, why? He's dead. Just leave him there. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of stuff happens. Like, it's a routine casualty. Like, there's no rush to get a bird in, or he's an urgent surgical. Now we have to rush to get a bird in. So it's taught to us from day one. Like, a lot of people don't know that if you look at a lot of Medal of Honor recipients, they're usually privates or PFCs from jumping on grenades, right? Do you know why the privates and PFCs that have all those awards?
No.
Because it's the senior guy saying, hey, Boot, get on that grenade, right? So we come around playing around. Like, if you're new, I'll come in, I'll throw something on the floor and be like, frag out. And your job is to be
frag out.
Frag out means
like
it's
fragments.
Yes, like when I throw a grenade, I say frag out. When a grenade is incoming, an enemy grenade, you say grenade. So to train, I'd be like frag out. You would say grenade, and then you would jump on it.
Why me? Why are you picking me?
Because that's the training, right? Like, it's playing around, like you jump on it.
Yeah. Wait, so you're actually trained to jump on grenades,
and it's trained like that, like a joke, right? Like, hit, frag out, grenade, jump on it, right? So It's always the junior man, and then all these things are reps. So once the actual stuff happens, your mind is off. Because if you think about jumping on a grenade, you won't. Yeah, but you jump on it second nature because you see it. You've done it so many times playing around, you just jump right on it. Like that's how it's built.
Wow. Mike, grenade.
Nope.
I'm good.
Oh, no.
Frag out.
Frag out.
Grenade. Jump on.
There it is.
Yo, dude, this is
not to make light
of it.
No, but
this is
how exactly how it's done.
That's how
it's normalized.
You just Mr. Miyagi'd me into
That's
that.
what I was just trying to do, because when you said, not to make a joke out of it, that's how it must be, and it starts like that, and then through repetition, apply that to anything in your life. Right? This is obviously a terrible situation that we're talking about, but now flip it to a positive one, to where if you're practicing good habits and you're doing the good things every single day, you're going to be making forward progress, right? So take some story like this and now turn it to that.
Yeah, like false motivation. Like, another one we used to say is false motivation is motivation. Like, let's go. Like,
thank you, Brad.
Like it sounds stupid and it sounds corny, but you say it enough times, it's like, I gotta go now.
So I gotta break this down for you, and I'm curious to know what you think about it. But I always tell Mike and CV that, motivation is basically the first thing that can get you in the door, because it's exactly that. It's motivation. It's kind of phony when times get hard.
It's fickle.
Right. But then the next step to that is like inspiration. So like now I'm not motivated, but I'm inspired. So I see a little bit of progress, but as soon as like real hard adversity comes, I still kind of bow out. But where we want to get to, and this is something that we're trying to get, every single day, is you basically, through repetition and through the actions, you develop an internal drive that no matter what happens, you continue to do the same things that put you in this positive place, right? So does that
discipline? Sounds like discipline to me.
There you go.
Yeah. See, with me, the fake rah-rah stuff sometimes turns me off. But when it's real rah-rah, like you're playing basketball and someone starts fighting or something, and then you get emotionally involved in it, then I turn on. But if someone's like, all right, we got to whatever, I'm like, all right. Like, take it easy.
And that's true, though.
I hear you.
And I do it with certain things. Like,
but it depends who it's coming from.
Exactly.
Right? Because like if you associate me as the real rah-rah guy, I might be giving you fake rah-rah and you don't even know.
But it's authentic to me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. No, I was curious because we always have those discussions, because what we do here, this isn't, as cool as it seems, this isn't that easy. If people aren't looking at the the content that we're putting out, we all have wives, families. There's so many different obligations. So we're in these early stages to where it's like, all right, guys, we got to, this is our adversity, and we got to get through this. And I just like applying stories like yours that are real stories to little things like this. And then the takeaway for listeners is for them to then take that same mindset and apply it. Can we get into Questy piece?
Yes.
Yeah? You cool with that, Brad?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so there was a couple, questions that came in, and Mike, talk to us about that first one.
Which one? First?
The first one.
So, Questy. Don't know who this was submitted by. I feel like we should put names on it.
It depends. So
because they'll like it.
I basically put this out, and then if people don't put their name in the actual question at the end, like sign it as like Dave, then I don't feel comfortable just dropping the name.
We'll ask next time. But how do you mentally prepare for battle? Whether it's on the field or in the cage, how do you turn that off?
You don't turn it off, right? And that's the issue that a lot of people suffer with. And I got to start
Wait,
there.
ever?
No, it never turns off.
Ooh, okay.
Right? So it's like, I don't know. So the way I look at it is people generally prepare their kids for the worst that they've seen, right? Like if your parents ever went through some kind of hardship, they always kind of prepare you for that, right? So like you can't turn it off. And once you've been to war, you see what life is really about. Like a lot of military personnel, like the way we speak is in sexual and violent innuendos, because when you take everything out of life, that's what it's about, right? It's about trying to survive and trying to reproduce. Like that's literally what life is about. Right? Look at nature. It's surviving and reproducing. That's all it is. And that's what becomes, important. So like it doesn't turn off, and that's how you remember things like our ditties and stuff like that. But I'm always thinking like, damn, I should have water saved. If something were to happen, where would I go? What would I do? I'll never stand in front of a door because bullets come through the door. Just little things, like I call them good habits that you just can't turn them off. You just don't turn them off. You learn how to live with them, right? Like if I can't find a good explanation for it. Like it's like in your car, right? Like a certain light will go off. Like maybe a car is too close. The car is not going to hit you, but that light still goes off, and you still acknowledge that the car's too close, right? Like that's what happens to me. You know what I mean? Like somebody's hands behind their back. Like
it's an awareness that
like somebody will talk to me in like what we call the parade rest, or people use it for like a sign of respect. Both hands behind their back, clasp their hands together. And my first thought is always I want to see their hands, right? And then my second thought is it's Midtown Manhattan, but I'd still like to see their hands just to know. Like it's stuff like that. It just doesn't turn off. You just can't turn it off.
Wow. How do you decipher what you just explained, or is what you just explained a form of PTSD?
See, I don't. So I personally don't associate with PTSD, right? And what people seem to forget.
And why is that?
It just doesn't affect. Like there's nothing that happened that's impeding the rest of my life.
Okay.
Right. Like I tell people all the time, like, once you've experienced war, you are a prisoner of war for the rest of your life. There's not an hour of my life that goes by that I don't think about Iraq, right? But like, it doesn't. It's not consuming. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I don't avoid anything. You know what I mean? Like, one thing I would love to do, like if I had a wish, I would love to have a beer with some of the people that I fought against. I would love to drink a beer with them and just talk. You know what I mean? Like, yo, so what was it like? Yeah, he probably be like, oh, we would have got you if you didn't have helicopters. Oh, but we had helicopters. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
right.
You know, but stuff like that. Like, I would love to just have a conversation and a drink with the people that I fought against.
Does
like,
that come from
ill
MMA?
will.
Because the MMA, that's kind of the...
So, you
right?
know what maybe, right? There's no, because like I said, for us, it was very professional. For them, it was personal.
Got it.
Right? Like, we're not out here screaming infidels and, stuff like that. It's like, yo, my man, I'm going to shoot at you for 7-8 months and I'm going to go home and I'm going to go to college and it's going to be, that's it. Like, these kids, from the moment they're alive, like that little girl was 5. She's got to be almost 20 now. You know what I'm saying? She's probably raising another kid in that. She's probably raising her own kid in that war zone now. So it's just different. Yeah. But I also think that I tell people that because I can communicate what happened with the feelings that were associated with said events, people are like, oh, you must have PTSD because I would have PTSD, right? But it's like, nah, maybe you're just soft, right? And that's why you weren't there and I was. But it's also there's monetary incentives to have PTSD. The government will pay you tax-free a certain amount depending on your PTSD every month for the rest of your life. So it's like, oh yeah, sign me up. I have PTSD. It's kind of a joke. Like, there's less of us with PTSD than you would think. But some of them have it. Some people have it really bad, right? But also it's just the inability to move forward. Like, there's nothing in your life that will replicate being in combat. It is the absolute apex of your life. Everything else after that is second rate. And it's like being with the woman that you love, right? And it doesn't work out, and then you settle for somebody else. Every day you think about that, like that true love, that whatever sweetheart. Like, everything else just feels second rate, and that's kind of what war does. It's like a hangover, right? Like, you live through so many lifetimes of emotions in a week. And the bond is just crazy. So, you guys have siblings?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, how, like, when you're around your siblings, they'll say something that you're like, oh yeah, no one ever says that but me. Oh, I think like that too. Oh, I remember that too. It's the same exact feeling when you're with people that you fought with. The same exact feeling.
It's a good way to explain it.
Same exact feeling.
And it makes a lot of sense. But I also think, you having the ability to speak through this, it's a vulnerability because you're sharing the experiences that obviously happened to you. But I think a lot of people struggle with exactly what you excel at, if that makes sense. And especially those that I know personally, who did fight and, were in battle and at wars. They're not as available to their emotions, but you just have a really great gift of being able to explain your emotions. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm just like,
thank you.
No, really, I'm appalled by what the way that you're saying it, and it just flows so easy. And again, I think that goes back to the household conversation and the upbringing. So
my parents
amazing,
were really
man.
big on being able to express yourselves, right? And then my dad got a little mad when we started to express our feelings about how he felt. You know what I mean? Double-edged sword. But what I tell people all the time is, I think the hardest part for me was, it's such a small community, right? So I think roughly 1% of the population joins the military, and of that 1% of that sees combat. So it's such a small community where everybody knows everybody. Like, that whole 7 degrees of freedom or separation or whatever, it's kind of real, right? So it's to the point where I'm generally always the only combat vet in the room. So you have this feeling of being alone, right? And everybody thinks that I'm so different and I'm so this and I'm so that. And then I'll meet other combat vets and I'll be like, oh, I am different. And I can realize how different I am because I can realize how similar we are. You know what I'm saying? And that's where that, like, running into your brother or your sister feels like.
You're like a philosopher. You're breaking it down. I like when people take complex things and break it very simply down, so that I, as someone who hasn't experienced it, can somewhat empathize to an extent.
Yeah. And it's like, the way I explain it is, they don't have to tell me that they're a combat veteran, right? Like within 2 sentences,
You
we
already
know,
know.
we know. It's like, yeah, my man, yeah, you know what's up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or we'll be like, he wasn't. You know, like you
know the
just
imposters.
know, like the same way people say money knows money. It's the exact same. Like at hello, I can tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just the way you talk about it, the way you move. Like I tell people all the time, like I wasn't in the military, I was in the infantry, and people are like, oh, well, what's the difference? I'm like, the culture is very different. You know, it's a subculture. It's just so, and inside that subcultures, there's subcultures. You know, it's amazing, and it's my life's blessing to be part of that and to understand how differently assaultmen are from machine gunners, how machine gunners are from riflemen, you know, how riflemen are different from snipers and snipers are different from recon. It's just,
What post would you put us at?
he would be a machine gunner.
Yeah, that's.
You know
I
what I
would
mean?
say that. Yeah.
He'd
What about me? Would I be
For those
the
of you,
medic?
for those of you,
nah,
on
you'd probably be like a
YouTube-
mortarman.
What's
for
a
those
mortarman?
Wait, hold on. For those of you who are not on YouTube, we might just ask Brad and point it to me. What would he be? And Brad, what'd you say?
Probably a machine gunner.
A machine
Yeah.
gunner.
Wait, what would I be?
What is
What was
Mike?
it?
A mortarman.
What is that?
What was that?
So a mortarman's like your smart
Doesn't
mathematician kid. That's he's not gonna beat nobody up.
Strategy, right?
No, not really. Like he's not
I'll
gonna
do
beat
strategy.
anybody up. He's not gonna jump on no grenades. He's gonna sit back. He's gonna drop mortars in a tube. He's gonna give, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna say,
Yes.
He's gonna say,
Wow, I gotta toughen up, man.
That's hilarious. But
Yeah.
so
That's
I've
tough.
always had and I'm not sure, you know, I think I know what a machine gunner is, but my Mike's choking over there. No, but my grandfather, you know, was in the service too, traveled all over the world with the Navy. And then was, you know, in the police force, and him and I are always like, I mean, he's past us now, but everybody in my family has always compared me to him in terms of the mindset. And if there was one thing that I think that I could have done, it would be to go back to, you know, when I was 17, 18 years old and actually enlist.
and I would tell you no.
Really?
I tell everybody no. I'm like, yo, don't look at me and think that I'm the average, you know, product.
No.
Right?
Look,
I tell people like,
you're
yo,
definitely
I'm
not the
I'm
average.
blessed.
I'm
I'm blessed to be
Right.
mentally okay, relatively physically okay. But like the last thing I would want is anybody to have to experience what I experienced at such a young age. Like it would, like the coming home was very difficult. And I think what made it so difficult was the fact of being alone. Like I remember being in college and being like, yo, nobody's got any idea. Like I remember I opened my laptop and there was my background was somebody's head that we had blown off. Right, it was just his head.
Wow.
Like that was my background, and that was what was normal for me.
I must just fainted.
Right, the girl behind me
The
was like, "Hey,"
mathematician.
and she you know, we're friends to this
Mortimer.
day. She was like, "Hey, you know, you might want to change that. This is a different setting." And I looked at her like, "Shh, you know, you're living a fake life. You don't know what's really going on." But she was right, and I changed it. You know, and it was like it was those periods of acclimation. You know what I mean? That were hard. Like it was just hard. Like but I did watch friends with PTSD, and I was able to watch their PTSD grow throughout the years, right? And it always started, and it always looked like just an obnoxious night of drinking. That's how it started. It's how it looked, right? And then, you know, a little separation anxiety, you know, a little failure to adjust. Before you know it, you know, they're drinking every night, doing drugs, no job, no school, bouncing around from house to house, and then it's over. They're dead. You know, like it's just crazy to watch sometimes. And just knowing that there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do sometimes. It's just hard. And the hardest part about it too is like my first year that I was out, I had no contact with anybody that I was in service with. Like I just felt like I needed to move on, like emotionally, and like I couldn't have people just like holding me there, right? And that was so hard. And then when I reconnected, I realized why I had stopped. And it's just some people just can't move forward, right? Or is this they've hit the apex of their life and they're essentially hungover forever. You know, like there's nothing else that really gets them up. And I'm like, damn, well, what stopped me from that? And then I realized is that before any current stage of my life ends, I know what I want to do in the next stage. So before I got out of the Marines, I knew I was going to college. Before I graduated college, I knew I was going to fight professionally. before I'm done fighting professionally, I know what my next move is, right? So it just keeps me goal oriented and focused. Where some of these people, they lose the structure of the military, they lose that focus for them, and then they're just in purgatory forever.
Well said.
Wow. And just to be clear, when I said I wanted to enlist, it was exactly on that piece right there, the structure piece, because I basically create my own structure in life. Not that I want to go back to then, make myself available to going to, Iraq and what.
But your life is not yours anymore.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. But that I was talking about the structure piece. But man, the way you break it down is just so easy to understand, and the hangover piece is kind of real.
Descriptive.
Yeah. It definitely is. Wow. All right, so I think we covered this next one in terms of the the circle that was around you. So this is going to take us. We do a little thing at the end, Brad, where we basically I drop a dime, Dave's dime. We got Mike's mantra and Miguel's mantra. And
get it right.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, and you're going to hit us with a little quote. What are we going to call your
Featherstone facts?
Oh, I like that. All right. And this is going to take us into Dave's Dime of the Week.
Dimes. That was a nice one.
Is no more. No more excuses. No more. I'll start tomorrow. No more just this once. No more accepting the shortfalls of my own will. No more taking the easy road. No more bowing down to whatever unhealthy or unproductive thoughts float through my mind. And that's Jocko Willink.
That was a good one. This is Miguel's mantras. We need some sound effect.
Miguel.
Whatever you are going to do it violently. Right, badly yeah, you better. Desir.
That's right.
Desir, yes.
Yeah, see, said it right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my Featherstone fact today is a simple one. It's just a calm mind is a strong mind.
That's a good one.
I just really believe just like being focused, like tuning out the noise, know what you're trying to do. People are going to discourage you. Just be calm, be focused, and you'll be strong.
Wow. And the very last thing that we do, Brad, is Mike has a little section, and it's called Heat on the Feet.
Big sock guy, which
Bradley's like, wait, whoa, what's going on here?
Adds to my toughness.
Yeah, let's see.
Check him out. Everyone on YouTube.
Okay.
There you go. Look at that heat.
Okay, look like
fish.
some H&M.
Some sharks. John's Crazy Socks. It's a great cause. Check him out. Oh my God, I need to get more.
Bradley, man, this has been incredible. And that's it, guys. So until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Wow. That's another Effie in the books. Go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at No Snooze Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze.